Yo, what's going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new episode of Saturday Night Locals with Earth Machine. Yeah, sorry about the little delay in this episode going up. I was gonna do it last night, but in typical fashion, I let it get a little too late, and doing a 40-minute commentary wasn't something I really wanted to do. I'd just rather go to bed. So the original plan was to get the video up today on the 18th, normal uploadish time, 2 p.m. up to like 5 p.m. Eastern, but it'll have to be up on the 19th. My apologies. So here I am playing against the one and only Nick Beers with the Earth Machine technique, and he's on Kashtira, Adventurer Kashtira. Something I wasn't expecting to see the last time I played this particular duelist. I believe they were on Branded Chimera. So when I saw the Kashtira Ogre come down, I'm not going to lie, I was a little shocked. And then, I was like, this Droll and Lock's probably going to be pretty useless. But then he activated Enchantress. So I was like, all right, we're so back. So now he cannot use Fateful. At least this turn, to grab either Griffin Rider, which keeps him off an Omni, or, it keeps him off the equip spell. But looking at my opening hand, it's not the greatest. As you can see, I've got 2 Harvester, I've got an Imperm, and I've got a Tunneler. Harvester is a great one-card starter, but as we draw Gear Frame too, so I've got 3 normal summons in my hand. It's pretty rough. And here I was debating on what normal summon to go with. And I'm just picking up and reading Ogre because it's been a long time. It's the one that when you activate an effect or declares an attack, new chain, you get to look at the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck and banish one face down, return the rest in the same order. And I figured since I already had Harvester in hand, normal summoning Gear Frame would make the most sense because if you have those 2 normal summons together, starting with Gear Frame allows you to get all the benefits of the Machina engine on top of getting access to the Infinitrack engine. But my opponent ashed the Gear Frame, which I wasn't expecting. It's not a terrible Ash, but I was like, all right, this early on, we're just throwing out a hand trap. That's fair enough. Like, I didn't open up any other extenders. I didn't have, like, a heavy forward. I didn't have, like, Fortress in hand already. No redeployment, no urgent schedule, right? There's a myriad of cards I could have drawn at this point to help keep extending. And I did not feel like it was worth it to drop the Tunneler on the field and link that into a Goliath, right? Didn't feel like it was worthwhile. I also don't know if this is a necessary cut, but I cut anyways, and also set the Imperm in the same column as the Fateful Adventure, just because I figured, like, the longer I can keep him off Griffin Rider is probably better. So I just go on activation of Fateful to search a monster. I just chain Imperm, negate the Ogre, and now he cannot get any searches off of the Imperm, or off the Fateful, sorry. And it's like, maybe this will buy me a turn, right? Maybe? Just maybe. Then he's going to switch both of his monsters into attack position. Only got 1800 attack, which that means not bad stats for a level 4. From, like, I don't know how many years ago. 10 plus years, maybe. Shoutouts to Gear Frame for being an OG. But the token's 2000, 2000, and Ogre is the biggest main decked cash at 2800. So he's an absolute unit. So I'm going to take 200 over the token, and then 28 over the Ogre, and he gets to take a look at the top 5 there. Banishes one face down. I'm like, well, this kind of is rough. He could just control my top deck if he wants to, if the top card's really good, right? But he ends up getting rid of a Trencher from the mix there. I was like, all right, that's fine. I play 2. That's not really such a big deal. And I also have I should mention, I don't think my opponent has ever played against Earth Machine. If they have, I doubt they know anything about the actual deck itself. So I have an advantage here, a big advantage, in that my opponent has no idea what any of my cards do. And I pick up Called By for turn, so I was like, maybe this Harvester will be able to go through. But of course, they've got another interruption in the form of Imperm, and right now my hand just lacks extenders severely. And right now, I think I'm calculating a way to try to resolve Tunneler. This is how you know I'm getting desperate. I'm sitting here, I'm, waving my hand around. I don't know why I do that. It just helps me think and organize my thoughts better. So I was like, you know what? Since my brain is TV static, let's try to let's just try to resolve this Tunneler. Let's go through the motions of trying to resolve it and see what the hell happens. I'm like, alright, I've got 3 engrave, but the only thing else I can do right now, as he takes a look at the next set of 5, I'm resolving the Tunneler. The only thing I can do is link this, and it's much easier for me, and he gets rid of a heavy forward off the top. And like, it's much easier for me to, and it was also just, we were also double checking to make sure that the card should be returning in the same order there, so that's what that was about. But yeah, it's much easier for me after the fact, when there's less stress involved, to like think, okay, there was no play here. And I was like, yeah, even if I crash this Goliath right now, I'm still 1 machine short of being able to resolve Tunneler. Because if I could resolve Tunneler here, even if I'm putting back 3 mana cards, drawing into 2 cards could be the difference between winning and losing this game. And it's a very, slow game right now. Like, there isn't much going on either side, right? Both of our engines have been very much so stunted from the get-go. And we're basically like a top deck war, essentially, is what it is. My opponent picks up Planet, and I'm like, all right, that's pretty damn good, like really, really damn good. And now I don't have any way to stop his Fateful. I also didn't set Called by the Grave because I don't think it's worth setting at this point, and potentially having it get cleared by something, whatever that may be. So I just kind of cautiously left it in my hand. And I'm thinking right now, if I don't die, I can resolve Tunneler next turn for sure. But he searches out Wandering Griffin Rider and discards an extra copy of Right. Special summons out the Griffin Rider since he has the token. And I believe this was like his first time using Adventurer card, so cut him some slack. And here he also does this. He tries to tribute summon for the Unicorn. I'm like, you've got to tribute 2 for that. And he's like, well, that means I have to get rid of one of the other. And he's like, can I take that back? I was like, sure, absolutely. That is completely fine. We all make little slip-ups like this, and it is locals after all. So I don't really care that much. If this was like a regional or something, I'd be like, nope, you just committed to the tribute summon a Unicorn, so you're keeping that on field. But yeah. And I, honestly, like, I'm literally just dead either way, honestly, because he could also just, like, search on the normal summon of Unicorn. I think it's on the summon of any summon for Fateful to grab the equip and just, like, bounce the Goliath and then just grab Theosis. Like, I'd just lose the game regardless. Someone we had 5,000, tax over, and also everything is boosted, too, because of Pressured Planet. Everything's gaining 100 attack and defense for each attribute on the board, of which there were many. So we're now going into game 2, where I was like, all right, that game 1 was a little rough. Like, I opened up starters, but no extenders, and, that's what that does to an MF. So here we are in game 2, where we do open up a hand that's got a starter, it's got extenders, we got defensive cards, we got triple tactics talent, which I think I sided in the third one, expecting maybe a barrage of hand traps this time around, kind of similar to what happened in the first game. We got hit with Ashen Imperm. So I was like, you know what, we'll just put talents in, extra talents, because I really didn't have much to side in for this particular matchup. My side deck, I believe, consists of 2 Jizukiru, 3 DD Crow, 2 Lightning Storm, not 3, 3 Evenly Matched, 3 Skill Drain, Harpy's Feather Duster, and I think I might be missing a few more cards. But we go ahead and resolve redeployment here by pitching Trencher, and obviously just great discard, by the way. Perfect graveyard setup. And then I add the Unclasp Bear, so that can just summon itself to the field, dump the Citadel to the grave, and then I've already got Gear Frame in hand, so there was no reason to grab that in my opinion, so I just normal summon Gear Frame, effect, go ahead and grab the Ruin Force. So now I've got discard fodder with the Fortress. Also, one thing I felt like I've been continually messing up, and again, it's because I'm rusty. I have not been grinding this deck like I have in the past. But I feel like anytime you resolve redeployment and Earth Machine, aficionados, feel free to correct me. I feel like you're supposed to grab Gear Frame and Unclasp Bear. Obviously, the hand depends on what you grab, but like if you just are just resolving redeployment, it's usually like those 2, right? Because those 2 cards in combination get you access to 2 more cards. You can dump Fortress at Citadel, and now you've got an extender on top of that. Yeah. So the Gear Gigant resolves to my surprise, and then I summon Fortress by pitching itself and Harvester, and I'm like, you know what? We're just gonna combo here. Now, I didn't really memorize too many combos for this. I was just kind of playing off instinct of how I've played this deck in the past. And I was like, I have two options here. I can either go for like the Platinum gadgets to bring out Harvester in my hand, but I've already got Trencher plus Harvester set up in Graveyard. So I was like, I'm just going to go for Ballista here, grab Box, and grab Tunneler, since I've already got access to Trencher. But yeah, the only things I remember are like the basic Dozer combo with Harvester, because that's like really hard to forget, for me anyways. And I know there was like one super crazy redeployment combo where like you're popping your own Ruin Force mid combo that brings back like two monsters, and they get summoned to the zone where that Cliffort Genius points to, and then you get to search Regulus. Again, if you're an Earth Machine expert currently, you know what I'm talking about to some extent, probably. I never get to pull that combo off just because it's like everything needs to go right pretty much, but it's such a badass combo. But we go Trencher here, bring out the Harvester, grab Dozer, then we pitch Ruin Force to bring out the Fortress, and I'm like, you know what? This seems like a good time to go ahead and summon out Enter Blathnir, because I still have an Earth Machine on field at the end of the day if, you know, I go for the 6Cs play. So I'm like, you know what? Let's rip a card out of the hand. Why not? I'm going to need as much pressure on my opponent as I can possibly place, because Earth Machine deck doesn't really do a whole lot all of the time. It definitely can, right? Like, you're not always setting up a ton of crazy interruption, which I think people often mistake with the deck being bad, which I think is a really unfair thing. I think most people, like, when they see a combo deck, they expect like huge boards of many interruptions, like just hard negates and stuff, which this deck doesn't really have that outside of Regulus, but it's got a lot of different layered interruptions that I think are still really strong. But again, going for that or Blathnir play just makes up for like a lack of hard negates, if you will. So I go ahead and summon out Fortress here, and then I go ahead and summon out the Ruin Force, just because I want to get that on field before I resolve Dozer, before I am fully Earth Machine locked. And then Dozer goes ahead and tributes off the Fortress, and Dozer's going to go ahead and resolve here. And right now I'm kind of getting the impression that my opponent doesn't have any hand traps, which is hilarious considering I sided in talents to deal with excessive hand traps, which there were none. Which, I mean, that's just kind of, maybe he did side in a lot of hand traps, and I just kind of got unlucky. So River Stormer is going to go ahead and resolve here, and I'm thinking what to add. I'm looking at Regulus, because I'm like, if I don't grab Regulus right now, maybe I'm not going to be able to set up an Omni Negate. And you see, I almost go for that bullet there. And I'm like, maybe setting up an Omni Negate is more important right now. But also, Derricrane's a nice card too, right? Because that provides decent interruption. Grabbing Bullet allows me to still make Derricrane, or not Derricrane, number 81, but grabbing Derricrane allows me to make number 81 and have interruption on top of it. And now we're just kind of cycling through all of our extra deck monsters, literally just spamming links. That's literally, you just spam Goliath with this deck. It's just a ton of fun. You just like, oh, I'm going to link this and link one, link one, link. If you like link ones, definitely try this deck out. You get it. You get to, that Infinitrack Goliath, the one right in the center of my field there, that card you can literally summon like 4 times in a turn. It's just one non-link Infinitrack. So I link into the good old Anger Knuckle. And what am I going to summon this Derricrane here? Okay, I'm doing it on the summon of Knuckle. Alright, I was going to say, probably won't want to summon that right now. Otherwise, we might not get an opportunity. And I think I'm actually one Goliath short of doing the whole shebang, but I've got the Gear Gigant in the graveyard, which kind of takes that place. So we still get to put back 4 extra deck monsters. Put back the Dozer as a prime search target for next turn. And I'm like, let's go, baby. Let's get that nice little draw 2. So we've ripped a card out of hand. We have basically a 4K body that can become, and we draw Regulus, right? I'm just that nice with it. One of, by the way. But we've got a big, pretty much unmovable body in the form of number 81 with the Derricrane pop underneath it. Now I'm drawn into an Omni Negate. They're down an extra card. We've got Citadel Engrave. And we've got follow-up. We got plenty of follow-up, right? We got River Stormer in grave. We got Knuckle. We've got Fortress in rotation. We've got Ruin Force in rotation. We've got Follow Up in hand in the form of both Gear Frame and Harvester with Dozer back in the deck. Triple Tactics Talent. Like, I'm feeling pretty good about this board. I know the cash deck is kind of nice, but what are those cash cards doing to a 4K unaffected rank 10? That's my question. Now, of course, there are answers to it, like Underworld Goddess, but I don't really think the cash deck plays Underworld Goddess. At least I'm 99% sure. So on summon of Unicorn, I have a bright idea of that. I'm just going to call his bluff here, and I'm just going to go ahead and pop it right away. I'm going to protect number 81. Derek Crane's going to fire off. My opponent also just never used the Unicorn, so I was like, all right. I just went number 81. Anything on res? Just went Derek Crane effect. Try to pop. And he's got Birth, which Birth is going to try to bring back the Unicorn. I'm like, you know what? We're just going to Regulus negate that effect. And probably not my best use of interruptions here, but I was like, I'm going to try to stop him early. You know, he's already put Unicorn on field. Birth has already been exhausted, which I mean is like one of their best extenders. And, you know, I still got Knuckle access. I still got Citadel. So I'm feeling good. And the Enter Blathnir sitting on the end board is still going to put a lot of pressure on my opponent to be like, yeah, you got to get rid of this next turn. Otherwise, it's banishing a card non-target from your field, grave, hand, or the top of your deck. But then they go ahead and activate Enchantress. Enchantress is going to go ahead and grab Right. Activate Right to go ahead and grab Token and Fateful. So they're going to try to get this engine rolling now. Grab the Griffin Rider. Grab the Token. Yeah, and they're just going to go ahead and use the Fateful Adventure effect right away here to go ahead and search out for the Griffin Rider. The only thing I wish I would have just set up, like now that I think about it, I wish I would have actually grabbed Bullet instead of Derek Crane. Like maybe the Bullet was a little, or the Derek Crane was a little like too greedy. And they end up discarding Rise Heart there and they summon out the Griffin Rider. That's going to trigger Fateful to grab the equip. But the thing is, if you, at least one thing I've learned in the short time that I revisited this deck is that Bullet plus Regulus, that kind of rotation is really good. And had I, you know, done that, had I grabbed Bullet instead of Derek Crane, I could have detached the Bullet there, just made number 90 or number 81 unaffected, right? And then end phase, once I use that Regulus negate, I get that Regulus back to my hand. And that is huge. Right, I get to start my turn by threatening an Omni negate, and if I've got Gear Frame engrave, right, that's a lot too. So my opponent goes Draco back to try to bounce under Blathnir, and I chain Knuckle in response. And Knuckle's gonna go ahead and try to revive a level 10 from the graveyard. And I'm like, maybe he'll burn the Griffin Rider negate here, which he actually ends up doing. And I'm like, if he does that, I get Citadel effect. So that's exactly what we do. Because it does negate and destroy, so we get Citadel out since the Earth Machine monster was destroyed by battle or card effect. And, like, now I'm feeling pretty good. Like, he can put as many monsters on the field as he wants right now, and they're going to get blown up. And at this point, and also the thing is, too, with number 81 being unaffected, we can use Citadel to target it. It's part of its cost, because I believe you can still target monsters that aren't affected if it's a part of cost. And we can still try to blow up everything 3200 and under. And the number 81 will not be destroyed by Citadel's effect, but Citadel will still resolve. Nice little trick there that you can do. And my opponent's looking through his extra deck. I'm like, does he really got enough gas to keep going through all that? Because I'm like, if he passes now, I think we just win the game. Like, pretty straightforward. And they're thinking, and they decide to pass turn. I check the graveyard, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. We draw redeployment for turn, which is live. because I do have another fortress in deck. But right now, I'm trying to play this out as efficiently as possible. Make sure I use my resources correctly here and that I can still actually go for a game. Which I think I make a slight miscalculation. So we go ahead and normal the harvester, grab Dozer. Not that I really plan to use it this turn, but it's just a good, decent extender to have in hand to get value off the harvester. Mainly doing it so I can link into Goliath and then use River Stormer. And now we pretty much have access to anything in our deck with the River Stormer. That's the one thing I like about it. Once you make the River Stormer once, you don't ever have to really make it again, so long as you can get a link 1 on field. And my opponent tried to use the Draco back here, and again, they are new to the Adventure Engine, but it's not a quick effect, thankfully. Otherwise, that engine would still be, I mean, it's already still broken enough as is, but it would be even more broken if Draco back was a quick effect. And then we go ahead and search out Bullet Train. And now that we have all just Earth Machines on the field, we can just summon Bullet for the free. Like, but I could also summon the good old Fortress, too. So I do activate it to go ahead and special summon. And I think I'm just going for... Oh, this is also where I wish I had Gaia Charger. Because, again, this pesky River Stormer is just sort of stuck there in defense. So I go into the gun, burn for 2k... And I think I detached the Bullet Train, so we have that end phase potential add back of probably Regulus. Also got Anger, Knuckle, and Grave that we can summon. And yeah, I think I'm just doing this just to get the Ruin Force in the graveyard. Again, for more damage, essentially. So I go ahead and summon Ruin Force by banishing Derek Crane and Harvester. That's 12 levels. And again, this is that situation where I really, really wish I had Gaia Charger. If I were to cut anything in the extra deck, it might be Cliffort Genius. That probably, I think that's the only cuttable thing in my opinion. But we just go battle phase, we attack, and this is a big slip up on my part. I thought that Fateful only protected from card effect. And he actually has an English copy. All of his other adventure stuff was like foreign, so this luckily the Fateful was in English. But I thought it only protected from destruction via card effect, not battle. Which, I mean, I should have known. I played the Adventure Engine extensively in Marincess. So as a result, that makes me miss game by just 1,400. And it doesn't activate, so it's not like I could have negated it with Ruin Force. For those out there that thought I could do that. But yeah, now I'm kind of just like... Huh. Now what do I do? And, oh my, why am I just summoning Knuckle now? Well, okay, now it's easy to see that I had game regardless. Alright. How did I miss that? That is crazy. Well, either way, I just end phase Bullet, add back Regulus. And the interesting thing about the setup we have here is that I can actually use Knuckle. I don't remember if I did this exactly, but it'd be nice to see I use Knuckle to send off Goliath to bring back Bullet per se. Goliath reattaches to Zeus, giving me a double send Zeus, or I could attach it to the number 81, and I think I'm picking up on that, and I'm doing it right now, early on in the turn here. And I think I'm doing it like in response to, in response to Birth, and then New Chain Goliath. I really should have attached it to the number 81 there, because had I done that, I still have at least one send Zeus, and I can protect number 81 from the Zeus just by detaching the Goliath to protect the number 81. So I keep Zeus and number 81, and you know I still get Bullet and phase add back. I still get Ruin Force engraved. Knuckle can come back next turn, and my opponent is going to go ahead and resolve Unicorn to grab the Theosis. I was thinking about Zeusing before he got to search, which honestly maybe would have been the right thing to do. Maybe that could have just sealed the game right there, but I was like, nothing's really a big threat right now. Like, I've already got so much, like I'm already so far ahead of where my opponent's at with my engine compared to theirs. So I was like, I could just take the route of letting my opponent do something that I actually care about, right? And not just try to play super greedily like I did earlier when I was just like interacting with the very first thing. Because I'm like, all right, now I'm in a really, really good position. Let's not try to blow it just by doing the first thing that comes to brain. So they grab Griffin Rider and they discard, I think that's another Rise Heart. And they have not normal summoned yet. They've used Birth. And they do not have access to the token, so they cannot put Griffin Rider on field. And they go ahead and use Theosis here. Which I also, again, thought about potentially chaining Zeus in response to the Theosis. So the Theosis doesn't resolve. He burns that extender. He gets everything off the field. And now he brings out Fenrir. And Fenrir is going to go ahead and search. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I don't care about any of this at all. I suppose another cool play potentially could have been attaching the Goliath to the number 81. And then chaining Zeus whenever I feel it necessary. And then chaining number 81 to protect the bullet, right? And I would importantly detach Citadel. So at that point, if their only option is like to probably just get rid of the bullet because it's got 0 defense. That gets me another end phase add back, and that allows me to proc Citadel and Grave. So that was another potential way of doing that. And then they're going to go ahead and... They also search Scareclaw right now, which I was like... Alright, that's kind of scary, no pun intended, because now he can attack into, per se, Rune Force, which is really holding it down right now, because it turns off Fenrir in the battle phase, which is insane, and it's going to have his life points, make the game that much easier for me to deal with on the next turn. So, there's that. But the Scareclaw Kashtira coming down changes things quite a bit because it's the non-activation negate of whatever a cash monster is attacking. So he could declare an attack into Ruin Force with Scareclaw Cash on field, make it so, Ruin Force is negated, and then banish something else, right? Banish the Zeus, which then, I guess, again, I would have to chain Zeus there anyways. And then he uses the additional normal summon here of the... Or not additional normal summon, just the normal summon of... What is it? Birth to bring out Griffin Rider there. Yeah, and then he goes into battle phase here, attempts to banish the Rune Force. And I believe at this point, I just chained Zeus. Like, my opponent's already committed pretty much everything. So I go ahead and chain Zeus here by detaching the Gustav and the Citadel. And he tries to negate with the Griffin Rider, but you need to have token on field. And even if he did still have token, I would just chain Zeus again because we've got, 4 materials underneath it. But, yeah. So that just trades with literally every single card he had. And, the game is pretty much over at this point. My opponent takes a little while to realize that. They're just checking their graveyard, make sure they got nothing else there to use. I also think they maybe forgot they were at 14, which, fair enough. And, yeah, I believe they just passed turn. Oh, yeah, almost forgot bullet end phase there, which, classic. Add back just a Harvester, I guess. Draw into a gear frame. Turn the Zeus to attack. Yeah, just go for game. And now to game 3. Where, of course, you could easily guess my opponent is going to want to go first. And I think I put evenly matches in. And, yeah, my heart kind of sank when I saw that D-shifter, I'm not going to lie. Especially with the hand that I opened. I'm reading Fortress there. I'm like, does this say discard at the graveyard? But yeah, I was like, this is rough, right? This is really rough. They start with Shifter, and then they start with Prosperity, and I'm like, you know what? If they Prosperity for 6 here, I'm ashing. 100% ashing this. And they do Prosperity for 6, so I fire off the Ash. Because, I don't want to hand trap them when they have Unicorn on field because I have talents and I only play 1 Zeus. so I do not want to deal with that. And they normal summon Rise here. They use the effect. I'm like, all right, here we go. What one ofs is he possibly going to snipe? And he hits two one ofs. Hits Fortress, or sorry, Citadel, and the Dozer. You see a little handshake of frustration there. And, yeah, that Urgent Schedule would have been great to see. So they banish Unicorn. They have Birth already in hand. I'm like, oh my god, I'm getting comboed on right now. But of course, you know, Rise Heart is, or a Rise Heart is gone. So that kind of makes things a little easier. But temporary Arise Heart has already been activated. And I know, like, I know I'm not at the risk of facing a huge board. I know that's not a risk. I know I could probably wall up with something, or maybe get use out of the talents in some way, shape, or form. But it's a matter of whether or not I can do something impactful enough so I don't just die outright to huge monsters next turn. That's kind of what I'm worried about. It's because, like, I'm not going to be able to do much this turn regardless, just because, again, I'm under the Shifter. The deck really doesn't do that well under Shifter to begin with. I mean, maybe there's a rare circumstance where it does do okay. But with the hand that I have, it's not really that great. Especially losing Citadel and Dozer, which Turbo sucks. And they're just going to go ahead and make a rank 7 here. They're going to go ahead and overlay into the Shangri-Ira. And that's just going to set them up during my standby phase with, I think, a Unicorn. Which I think they probably should have just overlaid with a Fenrir and left the Unicorn and summoned another Fenrir. That way both Unicorns out of the deck, but that's none of my business. And I draw a Harvester for turn, which is, you know, not as good as it could be just because the Dozer is out of the deck. Tunneler's not doing us any good. Trencher's not doing us any good because of no graveyard. And yeah, as expected, there's the Unicorn. And that activates in the standby phase, so I can't do anything about that. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe there's a world where I can just, like, do stuff with Infinitrack or Machina stuff to, like, get to, you know, just a Link 2. And I'm hoping right now that, you know, with what my opponent has set up here, I can go for a Zeus line with the talents. Whether it be through Geargigant or be going through, like, his own Shangri-Ira. So I add Unclasper effect, and I'm waiting to see if they have anything on Res, which it didn't seem like they did, but they do have an effect, and they go Fenrir to banish face down, and then they go Shangri-Ira effect, and they forget to use a Unicorn. I was just like, there's no way. Because again, I only play one Zeus, and if he would have ripped the Zeus right there, that changes things a lot. And I think I probably just lose. Yeah. But we just take the Shangri-Ira, go battle phase, and attack into the one with the less defense, and I take a little chunk of damage there. Main phase 2, I slap my Zeus onto the field and activate the effect. Make sure I'm detaching nothing too crazy. Decide to keep the Unicorn underneath it for now. And unfortunately, again, I'm still under Shifter, so I really can't commit too much here either. Which feels really bad because I don't have any interruptions. No way to get an interruption on field either because of the Regulus. I need something engrave. I thought about maybe do I summon Fortress here, but I'm just throwing away a starter for next turn. And again, it's just like top deck wars at this point. But yeah, had he worst case scenario banished that Zeus, I mean, that's just rough all around. Like, that is just genuinely rough. I'm trying to think if there... I mean, maybe there was a world... I'm trying to think if there's a world where I, like, normal Harvester, activate the effects, and then, like, summon Fortress. and make a rank 9 like Earth Slicer and blow up all his good follow-up. Maybe that could have low-key been something. And maybe I resolve Dozer, which gets me to I don't know what exactly, but I think I still could have technically had a play had he gotten rid of the Zeus. How good it would have been, I'm not sure. But you know, he just goes into Big Eye, takes my Zeus, and luckily Big Eye can't attack, and then he puts a Zeus over top of his Big Eye, and I draw Urgent Schedule for turn. So, and also keep in mind, time is getting low right now. There only have like 5 or 6 minutes left on the clock, and I'm down in life by quite a bit, and I've got to worry about a Zeus send. And in theory, the Zeus send should not matter right now because I have the Urgent Schedule. But the thing is, Zeus is going to make it so, well, I guess if he Zeus is at the right time, he will be the only one left with a monster. So, yeah, Urgent Schedule should still be live after the fact. And here I get super greedy by putting the Regulus on field. And this was a big mistake. I should not have done this. I should have summoned Fortress by pitching itself and the Harvester. I got so caught up in wanting to put Regulus on field for some reason because I thought I was really worried that if I didn't do that, I'd lose outright to the Zeus. But again, Urgent Schedule was a card. Like if he Zeus at any point, he's going to be the only one left with a monster. So it didn't matter. And I could still probably do stuff through that, especially with the graveyard set of both Trencher and Harvester. So that was a huge oversight. So right now, my opponent's thinking like, damn, you know, he put up an Omni Negate. That's going to check my Zeus. But the thing is, I can't use Urgent Schedule now, which means the play doesn't continue unless I link off the Regulus, which feels so bad. I mean, I guess that's the one thing about Regulus in this deck is it doesn't have to just stick on the field as an Omni Negate. It still is an Earth Machine extender at the end of the day, however you look at it. So I link into Ballista, and I fire the Urgent Schedule here, which is a little bold and brash. I probably didn't need to do this. Probably just going to continue the combo as normal, which is going to force the Zeus anyways. So, and also, I guess the reason I did this because I didn't have any way to summon Fortress in hand. Or no, I definitely did. Or summon a Fortress in grave. Yeah, no, I had a way to summon it. 100% had a way. But he uses the Zeus there, which is, you know, I kind of expect him, like, is he going to use it now after me using Urgent Schedule, getting this many bodies on field? Like, I feel like he'll get a lot of value out of this, and that'll make it enticing. So I go ahead and... Did I search off the Harvester there? I don't even know if I did. But I go ahead and use Tunneler to put cards back 5 exactly to draw 2. And again, time is ticking down. I'm trying to play fast here. I'm trying not to throw the game by playing at a super fast pace. And I draw into something not super great. I needed to draw into any sort of form of extender there. And I do not. Like literally coming so close to throwing this game. What I'm curious about is why I did not... It didn't look like I searched off of that Harvester there. And yeah, I just have to crash, pop it, swing for 1,000, and put him on top deck. I was like, please don't have anything. And I mean, it also, like I was thinking in my head, like it should be a quick decision. Like he draws either something really good and plays, or he draws something bad and passes immediately because he can't do anything with it. So that was my thought process. And I draw Regulus for turn, or I think I draw Fortress for turn. Yeah, and then at this point, I just put everything on field, search off the Harvester, and I think I'm just going for game here, basically. Yeah, bring up the gear frame with its own effect, and link into, what do we go for? Just the biggest attack, 1800 Clifford Genius. Battle phase 25, 28, and 1800 for game. And there's the handshake. But yeah, I definitely almost came borderline close to throwing that one. I just got a little bit too ahead of myself, but it happens. Gotta stay calm in those high stress situations, even though it might be difficult to. You'll be able to see the lines that much better. And last but not least, a big thank you goes to our current Divine level channel members who are Pony Start, Cadillac, Screen, Misfit, and HCH Cyber. Thank you guys so much as always for showing me kind and very, very generous support of the channel.